Welcome to Azur Lane Meta. Today we have a special guest, Pi, and he is going to help us with these new leaks from the Chinese server. There is a lot to go through, and I am going to bring him on here, and he's going to help add a lot of extra information to see what we're going to get in the future. On the Azur Lane live stream for the anniversary, they talked about Operation Siren coming to the English server. And basically, we got some information from test servers in China yesterday, and thus we, are gonna dive through all this information. So say hello, Pi, so you guys know who he is.
Hi, I'm Pi, Lexington server.
So what's the thing that makes you most excited from what you saw when you're watching these streams?
Personally, from Operation Siren, it's the fact that we have few golden plates for equipment boosting. So now equipments can go from plus 10 to plus 13, and this may change the entire meta.
I
for
think
equipment.
that is one of the most actually meta changing things is that supposedly gold and rainbow equipments are going to be able to be plus 13, so that just gives their stat caps well above purple now, kind of making purple almost like more irrelevant, and just amounts new gold plates that you're going to have to farm. So what is Siren mode? If you don't know what it is, then we're going to talk all about it today. I have another video when it first announced, but basically where you log into your screen, where are you going to find this Operation Siren mode when it does hit the English server?
So when you log into your screen, you'll find Operation Siren in a similar place where you find regular event maps. You'll find it to the left of your notice screen, and you can go directly into Operation Siren from the click of that button.
Right by the scrolling event banners that you'll see all the time.
Yep.
And when you get into there, there's going to be 5 areas. And this is going to basically be a real-world Atlantic map area here. And you start in England, right? Correct?
We're in Wales, I think.
Wales, okay.
That or Cornwall, but
okay,
that's enough.
And when you get in here, you click the section and you go into these different locations. Explain a little bit more about that.
So each area has multiple different locations, and each location is supposedly unique in a sense that each location contains a really big map of the size of the map is actually 20 by 13 by rough estimates.
20 by 13
nodes. 20 by 13.
And what do you know exactly how what a standard map is? If not, that's fine, but it's a lot bigger.
I think 7.2 is 5 by 8, so that should give you a general idea of how much bigger it is.
There's fog of war on these, correct? I've seen clouds in these.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
There is fog of war on almost every map that we've seen.
Okay.
So far.
And that's why you have these radars. I see radars all over when these streams are going on, these radars.
Yes, so you can use these radars in order to clear the fog of war. However, these radars cost stamina, which is the new equivalent of fuel. It only can be used in Operation Siren as stamina resource.
Okay, so there's a new resource, stamina, and you're going to be using this instead of oil. So you don't spend any oil to play in Operation Siren.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's actually really nice because you can do all of your regular grinding, and then Operation Siren you do above that, but it doesn't cost any oil. So this stamina, how do we get it? I assume just by time, just waiting?
Okay, so the stamina regenerates at a similar rate to Arknights. It it regains 1 stamina per 10 minutes. The max stamina cap is 100 stamina, which means that you need 10 hours to. However,
to cap it out.
There is a way to. So far, the cap is 100.
Okay.
We're not sure if there's a way to increase it or not.
Okay.
But there is a way to get more stamina through trading oil for stamina. The current rate that we've seen is 4,000 oil for 400 stamina.
Okay, and that means you can probably overcap the 100 stamina if you buy it with oil.
Yep, definitely. The Chinese streamer had 100 something stamina this playthrough.
Okay,
yeah,
and you
can definitely go over.
Okay, and you watch more of the stream than I did. What were the rates of the costs to go into a location? Like, how much stamina did it cost to go into a location? About.
So locations obviously have varying difficulty, and so in the first area, the easiest area, nodes and locations usually cost a fixed rate of 5 to 20 stamina to enter.
Okay.
However, for the harder stages, we've seen anywhere up to 60 or 80 stamina as a one-time cost to get in. But however, once you're in the location in the 20 by 13 map, that is the point where you no longer have to use any stamina or any oil to fight any battles within the map. So you can use as oil hungry as a fleet as you want, and it doesn't change anything.
You can use those FDGs, you can use those Azumas, those Georgias, no penalties there. And you can use the stamina to get these little bonuses, right? Like,
yep, you can use staminas to get tiny buffs and quality of life within the location.
Okay, speaking of quality of life, I see these green boxes, and I saw that you talking about them a little bit on my server. Go into detail about those. Those look absolutely lit.
So the green boxes are actually a game changer, perhaps more than the 13 golden plates that I talked about earlier. So what these green books do is that for a period of 12 hours, or so far we've only seen it apply to chapter 113, not applicable for archived or events, but for double the cost of oil, doubles app drop in terms of ships, XP, gold, and anything along those lines. However, it does not double drops from the question mark nodes. So essentially what this is a halving of the amount of time that you need to grind. So now we can finally run fuel efficient fleets and about time.
Yeah, because I always say screw oil, I like my time better, but now I don't have to choose because I can take my fuel efficient fleet, but it will grind twice as fast and eat twice as much oil. So like if I were to grind 13.4 with one of these on, I would get 2 map drops from completing it, correct?
However, at the cost of double the oil.
At double the oil, yeah. Well, that sounds really interesting. Anyway, so getting back into the location. So we have these locations. Each area has different locations. Like Gibraltar, they're like real world locations, right?
So there's base in Gibraltar, from what I see, New York, somewhere there. There's also some along the African coast, along Casablanca. There's actually no along Casablanca. There's one in Palermo, I see. There's one in Brest in France. And yeah, so these are real world locations of kind of prominent docks within World War II.
And is this like the main story where you clear the one and then the next one and the next one, or is this more open world where you can kind of pick and choose which ones you go to next?
From what we've seen, it's open world in a sense that you can pick any of them. However, obviously you would like to pick the closest one to you, so it works as a checkpoint in a way.
And the reason you want to do that is because there's these like stat leveling that make them like really difficult if you try to go out of order. Is that right?
Yeah, so heading on to Operation Siren, there is a new system that works similar to the air control system that we have right now. However, it applies to 3 stats: attack, health, and defense stat. So these stats have no correlation to your fleet at all. These stats are tied to you as a commander. You pick up these stats along the way by drops in the map. We're not sure if it's random or fixed at this point. However, these stats, the more stats you get, the buff you get over any fleets. So for example, if your attack stat is higher than them, you get a 30% bonus in attack. And vice versa, if their stats are higher than yours, then there is a 30% debuff you, well, your entire fleet.
So this basically makes it nearly impossible to kind of go and clear things that are well above your level. You need to actually go and play to collect the stats, which are tied to your commander and not to your ships. And so if you keep playing, then you'll get to move further along.
To a certain extent, yes. From what we've seen, Area 2 in the coast of Africa is roughly level 102, 105. And it's possible to do those even with a debuff, because obviously we have over-leveled fleets. But I think once you get to Area 3 and Area 4, you have to farm or stack up on these stats in order to get the buff against enemies.
Okay, so we get into this map, that we have this huge map, and we complete the map, and then this portal shows up. We go through the portal, and what happens?
So once you clear every single node in your 20 by 13 map, a portal should show up. And essentially what the portal does is it brings you to a final boss stage of sorts, and it's in another separate map that's equally as huge. You have to clear a bunch of puzzles along with a couple Siren fleets in order to unlock the quote-unquote that have new chibi avatars. And so the final boss is particularly hard from what we've seen.
And is this like the multiplayer co-op? Not really, I guess kind of co-op, where you're teaming up with your friends? Is that this boss, or no?
No. So this is a boss for the area that you're in. And this is completely different from your quote-unquote raid boss in where you team up with your friends, your guildmates, your server in order to beat a guild boss.
So completely different.
Works completely different. Guild boss works in, it's either fixed or random drops throughout the map. The guild boss is Hiryu, by the way. And throughout the map there you get raid boss tokens, where you use the tokens, you call either your friends, your guildmates, or your server's general chat. And then people join up with you, the guild boss. However, you never actually get to interact with your friends or server's fleets. The only way you interact is that you're dealing damage to the raid boss, which is Hiryu. And Hiryu has a health bar, which level you won't be able to take down on your own. So it combines all the damage of all the players that have attacked Hiryu.
So let me get this straight. You go through the normal Operation Siren modes, and randomly you'll get drops to these like special kind of like EX tickets, and you get to go fight Hiryu. When you go to fight Hiryu, you can call your guildmates or something like that, and now all of you are fighting the boss individually, but you will sum all the damage, kind of like when we do those server boss fights that are events for like short periods of time, but this is going to be permanent, more or less.
Yep, that's correct. So I think the idea of endgame is once you get to a high enough level raid boss, you get your entire guild in, and everyone does maybe 4%, 5% of Kiryu's total health. Obviously, you're all competing for the highest score at the same time, which is how much damage you do to Kiryu. But the main component is that you want to take down the boss together, because there's no way you take her down alone. The rewards for taking down these raid bosses are actually pretty good as well. From what we've seen, the highest one is level 5. This is only in area 2, so they're probably definitely higher. And for clearing like one Hiryu, you get 800 oil, a handful of dorm food, and a couple of coins.
So
nothing.
You guys heard this right. We get oil for clearing a Hiru, the boss fleet, the co-op boss fleet, and it didn't cost any oil to do because it's stamina to get into the map, and then the ticket drops and we go straight to Hiru. So it didn't cost any oil, and we potentially get 800 oil from beating it.
Yep.
So it's free oil. That's awesome. So that's the co-op section, but let's get back to the kind of the single player, which is the Operation Siren. So in these maps, you have all these new types of, obviously you have the Fog of War, but you have like different, you have ice, and you have like whirlpools and all this sort of stuff, like hurricanes, all that stuff. So that's just to kind of make, is that only for the puzzles, or is that only like, what is that? Explain that, please.
That's also in the normal location maps, your 20 by 13 maps, along with your final to the Siren portal maps. So I'll explain each of them individually. So you have ocean currents that just pushes you in the direction of the arrow, and what that does is just pushes you. It sort of is a good formula for making a puzzle. In some maps, they're irrelevant because they're on their own. However, in some maps, they're sort of like a puzzle that you have to solve. The ice is, once you go in one direction, you have to keep sliding on the ice and you can't stop. A hurricane / sea breeze just pushes you to a set tile. It sort of makes your character do a flying animation, similar to when you pick them up in the dorm, so I can see that getting memed quite a lot. And the Fog of War is just Fog of War.
Okay, and alright, so that's just kind of to make your life harder, basically. And so once you clear the motion, you go into the puzzle mode. And they look challenging. Like, I was watching some of these people do them. They look pretty challenging, honestly.
Yeah. Puzzle mode actually, it's kind of requires some knowledge of the game, along with knowledge of how the special nodes like the ice and the gust of the ocean currents work. And yeah, so if you really want to min-max, you would have to know how to properly play the puzzle, but I'm sure there'll be guides on it once it comes out, so you don't have to worry too much there.
You mean I just can't, like, auto lane anymore?
Nope. Fortunately not.
Okay, so I'm looking here and I'm seeing different fleets, like opponent fleets that are on the map, and they have these little icons next to them that, like, you know, look like special. I can see like a plane and stuff that. So explain what those are, and yeah, we'll talk about those next.
Yep. So now within your open world map, you will have regular mob fleets that have special buffs or debuffs. So far, we've only seen buffs. So examples of these would be them getting extra torpedoes to fire at you, them taking less AVI damage from your carriers, them getting a shield when they drop below 30% health. There's a particularly interesting one where you fight one of these fleets with the special buff. It's actually translates to something along the lines of virus. Is whatever healing that you have in your fleet, doesn't heal you, but instead damages you.
So
So instead of
Perseus.
healing,
So Perseus is going to be just murders your own fleet, basically.
basically straight out at the start with your double preload, it's gonna absolutely ruin your fleet. But granted, she doesn't do much damage, so maybe that would make Perseus better than the other.
Yeah, that's interesting. So all of these like special skills, there's all these unique ones, but basically all of them benefit the enemy.
Fleet. Yep.
Yeah, so you don't want to see them. You just want to see the ones that are less bad.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Okay, and so while we're going through the siren mode, our health of our ships are just kind of like if you're in a map. The siren imagine the siren mode is one huge map. Your health stays the same from battle to battle, right?
Yep. The only way to regain health is either from your normal methods of repair ships and carriers and stuff. There are two other ways that you can repair your ships, which is either A, going into your set quote docks, the map. You have specific places where you have a base, such as New York, Gibraltar, somewhere in Wales.
And these are like
So
Pokestops.
those are your bases.
These are like
Yeah,
Pokestops
similar to Pokestops.
Okay.
And the second way is they have introduced a new gimmick of sorts, and it's a item that you can buy, which heals your fleet by, from what I've seen, 20 to 40-ish% of their health. I'm not exactly sure on the exact number. So you obtain these repair kits through just playing the game, clearing missions. You can buy some with oil as well. And yeah, so following the Pokemon analogy, they're just like healing potions in Pokemon.
Okay, so we basically get potions and healing stops to keep our ships okay through having to do this grand journey, basically on the same health pool. What happens? Do you know what happens when your fleets die? Let's say you lose, like, oh yeah, forgot to mention. By the way, guys, we get 4 surface fleets and 2 submarines fleets to play around with. So not 2 and 1 anymore. It's 4 and 2. But if let's say you lose, let's say you lose one of your fleets, what happens then? How do you get it back?
So far, I haven't seen any streamer lose their fleets, probably because they all have level 120s and they haven't countered the super high level ships. But from what I gather, your ship probably insta teleports back to a dock and you have to restart. About that though, because I haven't actually seen anyone lose their fleet, so
You just lose it permanently. Your dev level 30 FDG is gone forever. You got to start over. Do it again.
definitely not. Definitely not. I would have a panic attack at that.
No one would ever
Worst
play
case,
Operation Siren mode.
Worst case, I reckon you just have to bring them back to your dock and repair them. By the way, in order to repair your ships in your dock, it takes the actual Operation Siren coin currency. But it's really not that expensive at all.
Okay, yeah, so
Fine.
you need there's new currencies here. So let's talk about those because you just brought up the new currencies. So yeah, let's talk about the currencies.
Yep. Okay, so first of all, obviously we talked about stamina. That's a new currency. That's the replacement for oil.
Okay.
There's a new replacement for coins. It sort of looks like a casino chips. We're not exactly sure what it's called yet. That should be the standard in the Siren world. There's also a sort of premium coin, but it isn't exactly pay to win like diamonds and stuff. And it still drops regularly from maps. And these are used in the new shop in the Siren world, so compared to metals in the metal exchange shop, except that these metals drop from normal maps.
So we have a new shop. It's the Operation Siren Mode shop. To buy things in the new shop, we have to use the new currency that drops from playing Operation Siren Mode. This shop resets every 24 hours, yes?
Yeah, from what we see, it's every 24 hours.
And talk about what we can buy from this shop. Why do we care about what's in this shop?
So, stuff you can buy in the shop. For example, just now I said one of those repair toolkits, one of those health potions that you could use. That is buyable from the shop. And there are also 2 new things that are required in order to upgrade equipment, since there is new equipment coming out that is essentially retrofitted version of our current equipment.
So before you go any further, let's talk about this new equipment, and because guys, there's some new equipment here and you're probably going to want to know about it, and how we do it. So there's new equipment. I've seen that there's like a little tech tree. How do we get to the tech tree, and explain a little bit how this works?
So the tech tree is in the same tab as where your research, fleet tech, and PR ships are. So there'll be a 4 pop-up. And so in order to get these new equipment, first of all, so I'll be using the MK4 quintuple 533 torpedo as an example. First of all, you need your normal quintuple 533, and after that, you also need a bunch of, along with these new sort of blueprints that are equipment specific rather than PR ship specific. And from what we see, materials drop from open map, and supposedly equipment blueprints also do drop, and both are available from the shop that we previously stated.
So in this tech tree that we're going to find, we take a standard item that is already in the game, and we're going to basically upgrade it in a tech tree. We're going to retrofit this item, and we're going to need these blueprints, and these blueprints are going to work kind of like a special, like how we get blueprints for items before, but these are special ones for Operation Sirens. We can buy them in the shop. They also drop, and then we have to combine them with these special new like materials basically that drop from the maps. You can see them all here, and we then upgrade it into this new equipment that's like super powerful, I assume.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't power creep too bad, but yeah. So we have 7 new equipment.
Okay, so here I'm pulling up all 7 new equipments here. We got 2 new submarine like torpedoes. I assume that those are more powerful than the ones that we already have. We have a heavy cruiser main gun. We have a DD, a destroyer main gun. This potentially looks very good. And then this new exciting thing is we have this quintuplet 533 millimeter torpedo launcher. It doesn't look that exciting until you notice that this can be equipped on the destroyer main gun. Like Ainami, you can equip 2 torpedoes on her, basically.
Yeah, embrace the torp meme in PvP.
That along with the newly released like black torpedo auxiliary
equipment.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. And then there's obviously the new plane. And speaking of planes, I heard that in new Operation Siren that you will be able to farm the Sea Hornet, which is the best fighter that was only event exclusive from the event that just ended. And I heard now that you can get more than one. You can get them through research. Is that true?
Yeah, the Sea Hornet, that's the best current DPS plane for ship damage, is obtainable through, first of all, upgrading our current purple Supermarine Seafire into a gold Supermarine Seafire FR-47, then finally into the Sea Hornet. So it's gonna take quite a lot of resources.
It's gonna be challenging. But I
Yeah.
guess get those planes available. All right, so last thing I guess is we also got to take a look at the Siren Bosses and kind of their chibis. And so, easy question at the end. What do you think of the new Siren Bosses and their artwork? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think they actually look better than the current ones that we have. The ones kind of look boring, but yeah. So like one of them has this kind of octopus thing on top of her, and the other one sort of looks like a KMS ship in the sense that it has like a shark tail. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these designs.
Awesome. Well, I super appreciate you for taking time to talk with us and help us translate all this stuff, because I don't speak Mandarin. And so watching these streams, I was a little bit confused. And if you guys were a little bit confused, leave a like on this video, because, you know, he's taken a lot of time to help teach me and you guys what we can expect whenever Operation Siren does drop in English. And I'm super excited about that. So thank you guys for watching. Take care.